Hey guys, welcome to Martial Mentality, a podcast about martial arts. I'm your host, Delmar Minor. I'm the head instructor here at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu, and I've been doing martial arts for over 21 years. And today I have with me...
My name is Joseph Blackwelder. I'm a student here at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. I've been training a little over 2 years now.
I'm Bobby Elliott. I'm also a student here at Northern Shaolin, and I've been training a little over 2 years myself.
And guys, we want to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe this podcast on YouTube. Share it with your friends, your family. We love to have more interaction, more subscribers. And make sure you comment below. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. If you have a topic that you want us to discuss, put it down below. We'll definitely talk about it. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Okay? So let's jump into our topic today, competition versus street fighting.
Good topic.
Good topic. So before I go into the questions, I kind of want to freestyle a little bit. Bobby, why exactly did you start taking martial arts?
A lot of reasons. I needed something to do. My kids were older, but also I work in an area that is not really a good area. I don't know if many people are familiar with Charlotte, but I work right off Woodlawn, and there are definitely a lot of people who like to come into my store. I run a retail store, and they try to run, they try to steal, and some of them get aggressive. Some of them do. And you want to be able to protect yourself, but also seeing as how I've been with the company 10 years, I take it personally, and sometimes it's like, almost like somebody coming into your home and you want to defend yourself. You want to defend your property. And, you need to have the tools to do that.
And I do remember you telling us about a situation that you experienced in your story. Maybe we can bring that up later when we get into some of the more street fighting aspects. Joe, what about you? What made you want to decide taking martial arts?
So there's a lot of reasons for me as well, but I guess to put it simply, it's more the mental aspect of like the Kung Fu style. I'm not going to say I knew, I never really had formal training in martial arts, but I felt like I could handle myself okay. And I also got the military background. I kind of aware about like what I call like the rules of engagement, how to like de-escalate a situation. I had a pretty good head for that kind of stuff, and I've been in a few situations, but I wanted to learn to fight better, obviously. Now I got a family, like it's not just about me. I want to help, if I've got to protect them, I want to do it the best I can. So I want to get trained, but it's mainly the lifestyle that appeals to me. I've always had the interest, so I finally decided to jump in.
Gotcha.
And I feel like I picked the right school.
Well, I appreciate that,
yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, for me, we've talked about this on previous podcasts, TV, movie characters and stuff kind of got me into martial arts. But as I got older, I did want the ability to be able to protect myself. And like you say, now that I have other people around me that I truly care about, my ability to protect them has become more of a priority in my life. And so therefore taking my martial arts training more seriously and making sure that my skills work when they need them to. So I definitely want to make sure that we all get into, because everybody at this table has unfortunately had to use our martial arts skills in real life situations. And, we want to let the viewers out in YouTube or the listeners out on this podcast understand that if you train martial arts the right way, it will work for you in those situations. So, but anyway, let's hop into our first question. So Joe, let's start with you.
Okay.
How does competition differ from street fighting?
Well, to put it bluntly, like you're not in real life, you're not necessarily just going for points. You're protecting yourself, protecting others, and you've got to have the right reason to fight. If somebody is trash talking you, you don't got to fight that person. If they're putting you in danger and they're threatening you, or you're somebody you care about, now they're a threat. They're a real threat, like a danger that you're not taking it lightly. You are there to neutralize them, so to speak, right? So that's the difference. And we talk about this in class. Sometimes the difference is, instead of striking, here, I might strike here.
Right.
Or, we do a leg check, like a thigh kick in a competition. Well, I might go for the knee. It's simple things like that, but it's the mentality behind it that, sure, people, you take tournaments serious, you should, but, if you do joke about it or you don't take it serious, like you train like you fight. So if you're in a real situation, you need to take that 100% serious because it is serious. You could get hurt.
Right, correct. No, you're 100% correct. What about you, Bobby?
So in my experience, competitions are more controlled. You have variables that you know you're going to be protected because you're wearing pads. You know, if you get hurt, the judges are going to stop and they're going to make sure you're okay. You know, you have those moments that you can actually think. Whereas in street fighting, whether you're on the street or whether you're, say you're in an abusive situation, whether it's in the home or outside, you don't have those variables. You don't have protection. You don't have someone that's like, oh, you're hurt, let's stop. Yeah. You have to protect yourself. You just go. Like, you know how people would say, oh, I just saw red. And you just go. It doesn't matter if you're hurt, and it doesn't matter if the other person's hurt, and you're fighting to protect yourself and make sure that you make it out alive.
And no one's coming to save you.
Yeah, exactly. You got to save yourself.
Yeah.
I definitely, for me, competition and street fighting, after doing both, unfortunately, there is a distinct difference. I think what happens to a lot of people is they don't realize that competition can prepare you for street fighting.
Right.
And that's why competing can be good for, especially your students, because, let's be honest, most of us are not getting in street fights every day, or you shouldn't be.
Right.
So, and if you are getting in street fights every day, that means that you're usually in the wrong area, you're instigating something, you're hanging around the wrong crowd, which that in itself is already an issue, but that's another podcast.
I got an interesting take on this real quick, not to veer too far off topic, but like anything I just said is not to take away from tournament, because here's something that I don't have experience with yet. I've sparred a lot, but I've, like, in our world, we have what's called Lei Tai, right? Mm-hmm. And it appeals to me a lot. Like, this is our version of full contact fighting, right? And it's intimidating. Mm-hmm. That's a willing, like, you are willing to get in there and really, like, in the fight or be ended, right?
Yeah.
That's an aspect that you don't really get. Like, me personally, I always said I'm a lover, not a fighter. I only fight if I have to.
Right.
Right? So I'm not out there looking for trouble. Like, in those situations, like, I haven't been in a lot, but the situations where I did fight, it was, like, kind of forced upon me in a sense. Not really like I went out looking for trouble. Now, like, Lei Tai, though, that's different. That's a different mental thing when you are going in there.
You're signing up for that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I will tell you real quick, since, this is still on topic, so right. Are there similarities between the two? So when I did my full contact fight back in 2008 at CACMA at the Queen Charlotte's Cup, and that's why competitions can be good, because you can simulate certain things. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that people don't realize when you're in a more full contact scenario, the intensity level and the competitive level, the aggressiveness, and even the violence is severely increased.
It's that other person willingly jumped in there too and trained for that too.
Right.
It's not a person off the street talking trash or putting their hands on you. It's like they trained and they're coming in there to fight you.
This person has trained to hurt you.
Right.
You have to realize that,
Right.
I've trained to try to hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to hurt you. You signed up for me to try to hurt you in that respect.
Yep.
Also vice versa.
Yep.
And even though it's controlled, you can still be severely injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which we've seen.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't expect the severity that they go. Like, I've seen a lot of people who are incredible martial artists just get in there and be like, oh my God, it's like that shock.
They freeze.
Yeah.
They freeze.
You've said it a lot. You said that a lot of people jump in there not realizing the intensity that's going to come at them, and I feel like we've seen that watching the fights. Like, some people may have trained hard for it, but they jump in there, and if they've got an aggressive opponent that's really throwing some powerful stuff at them with intent, and they get wore down quick.
Yeah.
So. Well, everybody who walks in competition, you give everybody your respect.
Right.
But however, it's kind of like that whole, you don't expect somebody to come at you with that type of, And when I say this, I don't mean like maybe they're mad at you, but like that type of rage.
Rage, yeah, violence.
Yeah, that violence. And so that's good. And that's why I like to make the students here, you know, before they get ready to test for some kind of like black sash level or anything like that, like you need to experience that at least one time.
Right.
You know, not everybody's going to be an MMA fighter or who wants to compete all the time, but you need to experience somebody coming at you with the intent to hurt you to know how you're going to react. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Some people will fight back and some people will freeze. Some people will want to run, and you just don't know until you're put in that situation. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's a control situation, but it can be a scary situation. And one thing that I'll never forget about my experience full contact fighting, it was the eyes. When my opponent looked at me and I looked back at them, I saw this guy really wants to hurt me. Like I knew it. I just knew it. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
And I had that moment of, am I gonna run or am I gonna fight back?
That's tough. That's like part of the reason I feel like I could talk about this all day, so I won't drag on. But like, if I decide to do that, like I feel like I don't want to get hurt and I don't want to hurt somebody unless I need to. So I feel like I don't know how well I do, you know?
Well, that's a huge difference too, as well. When you go into those competitions, like you said, there's a level of respect.
Yeah.
And not just respect for your opponent, but respect for what you're doing in there.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in the street or you're, fighting someone else, be it friend or foe, there is no respect in that. There is no respect because they are literally trying to hurt you, whether it's...
That's right.
They're trying to rob you, whether it's just a drunken bar fight, whether it's an abusive situation, all respect is gone. It's
like if you've got the right enough reason and somebody's really trying to hurt you and you hurt them, you don't really you don't have to have any remorse for that. Like you did what you had to do. Yeah. And I guess when it's like a Lei Tai fight or a full contact fight, both fighters they need to know that they're signing up for that because like say I lost, like I lose, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But say I won and I like hurt them in a way that I didn't, like say I hurt their knee or something or, injured them, like I'd feel terrible.
Right. Yeah. And that has happened to people. And, like I think the best way to describe this, and I want to say this, I didn't want to forget this, but you guys made me remember. So I want people out there in YouTube land, and you can agree or not agree with me or whoever's listening. There's a difference between fighting and sparring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And we have to realize that because a lot of times we interchange those words and we go, oh, we're getting ready to fight. No, you're not. If you're in a school and there's rules and it's gentlemanly or this civil, usually there's a sparring involved. You're not afraid of dying or being severely
I've come
injured.
to realize like with sparring, if you're getting to school and you're new, and I'm still fairly new, 2 years, but I've been here a couple years, right? So, and I sparred a little bit before that, but people get nervous before the sparring days. Mm-hmm. It's normal, but like we are going very light, and if you get nervous with that, you should go in there calm and collected. Like if a real situation comes your way, you need to be calm, and don't be nervous going in the sparring. You're there to learn.
Right.
And I haven't seen anybody. I had a buddy come here who might be a future student of yours, but he was talking about, we were working out one day outside and he's like, yeah, it's really bad for you to get hit in the head like a lot over the years. And I'm like, I don't disagree with you. Like, but we're sparring. We're not, like, I'm not,
right.
You know what I mean? Like we're just learning how to move and I'm tagging you. Like,
and we wear helmets.
We wear gear. So I've only seen one person in here, like I've really never seen it, but like maybe one occasion in here where somebody got hit pretty hard in the head.
Right.
And that's in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like hard, I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and as well, we do a lot of warm up before we spar. Mm-hmm. We stretch, we get prepared to go into that stuff. Whereas in street fighting, you got to go when it's go time.
Right. There's no
preparing. There's no warm up. There's no pre-thinking. There's no thinking strategy or knowing your opponent.
That's right. A lion doesn't stretch before he takes down a gazelle.
Yeah, it's go time.
You know what's different about that? Lion's prepared to take down that gazelle.
Yeah, he's always ready.
When going back to the similarities between competition and street fighting, you said this earlier when you were teaching the children. well, we were talking to the teenager, you should always be ready.
Mhm.
Now, granted, you don't wake up every day and sometimes and be like, and some people might,
Yep.
but mentally, in some way, shape, or form, physically, because you've done the training, you're prepared when something pops off. You go, I know how to
Yep,
react.
that's
I know
right.
what to do. I am not caught off guard.
You don't freeze.
Right.
You
Or if
act.
you're caught off guard, you can adapt quickly to do
Mm-hmm.
what you need to do.
I think you also learn that you can notice certain situations before they happen too, because you're already prepared. So you're already like, something's not right here. Something's about to pop off.
Yep.
You know?
Situational awareness.
And
Like the
yeah,
eyes, you know,
can analyze
look at
people's intent.
eyes, their face. Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
You kind of see people's intent. And that's the other something I say all the time is like, the fight's not going to come to you on your best day.
It never
Yeah.
does.
It never does.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why you should always be ready. Like if things happen, they're probably going to happen on when you're at the bottom of the
When
bottom.
you're least expecting
That's
it.
right.
Yeah. And sometimes the fight comes from within, you know.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's a good
you
one.
don't
Yeah,
expect
that's the
it. It
biggest
could be
battle.
someone you love. It could be someone you work with, you know.
Mm.
I came from a very abusive relationship years ago, and you never expect the person you love to come at you that way.
Mm.
And then you have to either decide whether you're taking that or you're going to save yourself.
Yeah.
And how you
tough.
deal with that person. So this is the power of martial arts, because martial arts, when trained correctly, gives you options. Because let's say if you do, okay. I mean, most people who are listening to this or who are watching this, you fought your brother or sister or a family member. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be real about it. You've gotten tips with people that you care about, but you didn't
Right.
want to kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to break no bones or like
Right.
knock them out or
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
But you know, it's like it may have gotten a little rough.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
You typically will fight people you know better harder. I used to spar with a good friend. His name's Alan. He's a big guy. And I'd hit him like 5 times for his one, but his one, I mean, he'd knock the crap out of me. I mean, his dad split us up many a times. He thought we were serious, and we were
Horsing around.
sparring.
You're just being competitive.
The Ninja Turtle boxing gloves.
Oh!
They're big, thick boxing gloves, but I mean, we was hitting
those.
the crap out of each other
Yeah.
with those things. Yeah, I knocked out one buddy's tooth.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It got intense. But they were people I knew well.
Well,
Yeah.
and this kind of goes to my next question. Is training for a competition different from self-protection or street fighting? What do you say, Bobby?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With competitions, especially if you're also doing forms as well as sparring, that's all you're concentrating on. You're concentrating on making sure your technique is correct. Whereas, self-protection, it's more of a get out, get away. With competition, it's you want to be first off the line. You want to go. You want to press the person, because if you can get them flustered or overwhelmed, they're going to lose technique. There's a lot more thought that goes into competition, whereas with self-protection, it's self-preservation. It's how can I get you off me and get away? And that even leads into, in a street fighting situation, depending on what the variables are. Like, if you're in a bar fight, you got to be thinking about other people, whereas in competition, it's me versus you.
That's true.
Or if you're, say it's a abusive situation, it's me versus you. How am I going to get away? We're in the same house.
Right.
There's a lot of differences in between training for one versus the other, because you're more controlled with competition.
Right.
And there's not as many variables, because what happens if you're in a toxic situation with your partner and they start picking up lamps,
Weapons, right?
Yeah, weapons.
that's true.
Whereas in a competition, you don't have to worry about that unless you
true.
sign up for weapon sparring.
Or, going back to what you said, if the police are called,
Oh yeah.
that's another variable. If you're in a real life confrontation, because when they get there, they don't know who the bad guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also don't want to assault them, because that's a charge.
Right, exactly. So you're right.
Or you could get shot.
Or you
Yeah.
can get shot. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you can get shot. Might have been not the right word.
No,
can
you're
get,
right.
You can get hurt. Like they can, say it's a bad guy that pulled a gun on you, and you flipped the script, and you took their gun somehow, and the police show up.
Yeah, who's
You're
the
the
bad
guy holding the gun.
Yeah.
What was
you're the
it?
bad guy.
Perspective, where it's talking about.
Perspective is reality.
Yeah,
Yep.
perspective is reality. So if you come at me with a gun, we wrestle, I get it away from you, but the cops show up when I got the gun, I'm the one that's in trouble.
That's true.
I'm the one that looks violent or
Right,
aggressive.
right. Or if you're the one that got it from me and maybe you shoot me because you're scared for your life and I'm dead
Yeah.
and you're click, click, click.
You don't hear the second side of that story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, who started what? Because this guy's dead and you're not.
Yeah.
And you got a weapon.
And people nowadays, if you're in a bar fight, first thing they're going to do is pull out that phone, pull out that camera.
Yeah.
They're going to record it, but they're not going to record what started the fight. They're already recording once people start throwing fists.
Exactly.
And hands, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. What about you, Joe? Is training for a competition different from self-protection and
kinda
street fighting?
Do a 180 on what Bobby was saying. Not that I disagree. I think she made some great points because it is two different things. It's totally two different things. But I think when it comes to the training and the mentality like behind it, there are a lot of similarities. You mentioned like the first off the line thing, like that is a competition based thing, I feel like, but it can relate to real life when you know when to do first off the line.
Decision making.
Right. Like if you know there's a person that is a threat to you, like if somebody's talking trash, you de-escalate when you can. It's about self-preservation. I agree with that. What the martial arts is teaching you is to increase your odds of self-preservation.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want to fight, don't fight.
Here's the thing. I equate training martial arts to like, this is something every day that we all experience. Insurance. Why do you pay for insurance?
Yeah.
In case.
Cover you.
In case, to cover you.
CYOA.
Yeah.
Cover your own.
So guess why you practice martial arts? To cover you.
Yeah.
That's right.
CYOA, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. We do it. But like, it gives you a better chance of survival.
Better chance. That's the word I like to use.
It's not 100%, but golly, I'll take 70 or 80.
Right. Exactly. Like
Give me 70 or 80. I'll take it.
A lot of the ways we train for like a tournament are similar. Like just for example, that first off the line thing, like first off the line doesn't necessarily mean you're swinging first. It's like, okay, if this person just threatened me or my kid or, like pulled a knife, he don't necessarily got to touch me first.
Yeah.
He just, okay, it's go time now.
Right.
Like you were teaching the kids today with the keep the distance.
Oh, yeah.
Push them back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If another person gets in your face, they're a threat. So, strike first.
Yep,
You know?
yep. And that first off the line wasn't like I was trying to show them, wasn't pushing them away. It was, hey, let me get myself away.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me create distance because I don't want you to hit me, do something to me that you might, you know.
Again,
And
you
now
said
your
if you're in
hands
your
are
face,
ready.
you can't see if they're pulling for a knife or whatever the case is.
You can't.
So,
You can't. There's no way. And,
Right.
in that respect, I think a lot of people, when I train, this is how I feel about this. When you're training martial arts, you should train for self-protection first, competition second.
yeah.
Because you can easily take what you've done in your real life scenario training and apply it in a ring that's controlled.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to do because that same distance drill we did today, same thing as somebody trying to punch you in the face in a sparring ring.
Right.
Just maybe a little different because you're engaged.
Yep.
In a real life scenario, you may not have to engage. You got your distance, you can run.
Yep.
And so when you start to understand the environment, the scenarios, the tools can be different for each, or there are similarities and there are differences. And I think what's happened to a lot of people in our community or people who are not involved in martial arts as much, they go, oh, well, MMA is real life fighting. No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. It is. It can be violent,
brutal.
intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's violent and intense sparring, and you can get severely hurt.
There's still rules.
But there's still rules,
Yep.
and nobody is afraid of dying.
And you don't have weapons
And you don't have weapons. You don't have other variables usually. But
or other people jumping in.
let me tell you this. I always tell the students this. Because sometimes they're always like, oh, sparring, no, I don't want to get hurt. And I go, well, if I stripped you of your gloves, all your gear, and put you out in this concrete outside this school and said fight to the death, all of you would do something completely different.
Oh yeah.
Your whole mentality would change.
Now it's like I got to survive.
You have to survive, yes, and you'll do whatever it takes to survive.
Right.
And so that is real life fighting. That is real. That is what the martial arts were initially built for.
Right.
They were
Right.
never really built for competition. And now, in more modern times, you see more martial arts that have been built more for the ring and more for competition. Not to say they can't be used in real life situations, but however, you have to be able to understand which is which when you're training. And then, we'll teach you a technique or a trick for the ring
Right.
that you may not use in the street.
That word, when you say real life too, I think something for people to realize is like real life. People associate the real life meaning like with anything outside of competition, right? So, but here's the difference. Like, what if a person is fighting somebody who has threatened to kill their family with a knife or something,
Mm-hmm.
versus a person who's in school and somebody is trash talking them?
Right, is a difference.
There's a big difference.
Huge difference.
Like, so I don't need to, you don't need to punch that person right in the throat or gouge their eyes or
Exactly.
break, you know what I mean? Like, that's a big difference in it. So for someone to say the Kung Fu didn't work, say the person lost the fight or something, well, maybe he didn't maybe he didn't want to hurt the person, I don't know. There's a lot to think about there,
With competition, though, you rely a lot more on skill.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with in a real life situation, if you're in a toxic relationship and your partner is coming at you and they're hurting you, they're choking you, they got you on the ground and you can't move, you're gouging eyes, you're jabbing
that's
throats.
right. It's not supposed to be pretty.
Yeah,
Right.
you're trying to think, how can I get out of here because I am going to die if I don't.
Yeah.
And it's all those rules go out the window.
Yeah.
And it's fight, preserve,
Mm-hmm.
get away.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Right.
skill skill based in both, but one is going to when you apply those skills, you're going to be much more. It's hard to describe it. For competition, let me go for competition. When you're in competition, you're still using a lot of the same skills and techniques and strategies, but when you get in a real life situation, a lot of times, in my experience, it's almost sped up and way more intense.
Yeah.
And things happen so quickly. And a lot of it, the decision making has to be split second because, like you said, you have to make sure, like, oh, no, does this person have a knife? Is there somebody else around? If you go to the ground, I remember in my situation, and we'll get to that later, I'm wrestling with this person, but then in my mind, I remember another individual that knew the person that I was restraining came by, and thank God I had people behind me. But it made me think, well, crap, what if I didn't have somebody there? That person could attack me, and I was vulnerable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What if I was by myself? And so those things pop in my head when I'm in competition. I don't worry about somebody jumping in the ring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or I
That's
don't
right.
worry about somebody pulling a knife,
Gouging your eyes.
or gouging my eyes, or breaking my kneecap. I know I could be hurt severely, but those fears are not in my head because I know of the controlled
I
environment.
feel like not really the opposite of that, but like another little point to make to that is like I get kind of anxious about things sometimes, like when it comes to sparring, like I stay pretty calm and relaxed, but I'm thinking about all these variables, like how I'm feeling that day, if I'm out of energy, what I've ate, if I'm gonna get tired. But in real situations, none of that. It's fight. You know what I mean? It's like none of that matters.
It is.
So
It is, and like Bobby said earlier, she made a good point. Sometimes you don't get a chance to prepare.
right,
Prepare
Right.
in that respect, like
yeah,
you're in it.
yeah. It's
And now
it's
you
in your
gotta
face.
go, right?
Yeah,
And you don't have time to go. You better react now,
yeah.
or in that time window between things, this much can be the difference between getting stabbed, getting cut, and surviving. Just inches,
Yeah.
centimeters,
Yeah, milliseconds.
milliseconds.
I think that's a very good similarity between competition fighting and even real life situations. That hesitation. If you hesitate in either one, you're going to be screwed. Because then they're going to come at you. They're going to, what is it? You were talking about the other day. They're going to be in control. They're going to lead that fight. So in a real life situation, if you even hesitate for a moment and get flustered or whatever, you might get overwhelmed in a bar fight and be on the ground and get stomped.
That's a very
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
When it comes to the hesitation thing, something that I've been learning through sparring is that a lot of times I won't throw a certain move because you say in sparring, this is your time to throw something new, something you haven't really done before, right?
Yeah.
So I get kind of like I won't try it because I always put the opponent on a pedestal. I feel like they're going to counter it or it's not going to work. But I found that more times than not, when I actually just do it,
It worked.
it works.
Yeah.
Like they don't expect it.
Exactly.
You know?
They do,
So
I mean,
don't hesitate with it. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, yeah. It's true. And sparring is the martial artist's way of being able to simulate some kind of combat, but in a controlled environment, and it gives us an opportunity to practice our techniques. It's similar to what like football and basketball players and baseball players scrimmages.
Yeah.
This is a scrimmage. We're scrimmaging right now.
Yeah.
And you can have
Yeah.
a hard scrimmage or you can have a light scrimmage.
Yeah.
But either way, we're practicing those things that we'll need, you know, when the bullets are really flying.
Yeah.
So guys, I mean, anything else with this topic or this question, because we're going to go to commercial break, but
I got one more quick story.
yeah, go for it.
I told you this the other day, but I want to share it with the audience. I had a friend come by, and he knows I got like a little home gym where I practice my martial arts and stuff. So he has I don't know the right word for it, like his girlfriend's son, right? Just graduated high school and everything, and he's thinking like he wants to go do MMA. You know, he wants to go be a fighter. So he brought him over there. And, you know, like, no big deal. Like, let's get a workout in. We got a workout. And then I was like, let's do some sparring. And he didn't know how to take it. Like, we were going light. I was like, but then I hit him one time, you know, not super hard, but just to kind of show him, like, we can still hit each other, you know. And we went. I'm not going to say he did the best, but it was his first time really doing it.
Right.
And people don't, like, they think, oh, that don't work. But it's like, he's like, I don't want to do all this. I just want to fight. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I would have just tore you up right now. Like,
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, we're learning to fight. Just because
Right.
I'm not hitting you as hard as I can. You know,
Right.
the rules still apply.
Right.
Keep your hands up. Move your feet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like, so if you think for everybody in the world that's on the internet that says, oh, that doesn't work, because that's what they all say, it's like, get in there and try it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then tell me it don't work.
Most people will criticize you and they've never done any kind of training.
Throwing
in
a punch,
their
had a
life.
punch thrown at them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's simple stuff. It's
Yeah.
not rocket science.
It's
So-
not. It's not. And for those people who are doing it, you know, for the people who are sitting on the internet to criticize them and go, oh, that doesn't work, you know, I won't lie, I used to be that guy at one point, you
Yeah.
know, because I was doing martial arts and I felt like, oh, I'm doing martial arts so I can criticize you. But now I've changed my mentality about that. Now, no matter who's doing what on the internet, it's not my job to go, man, that guy sucks.
Right.
You know what I do
That's
now?
right.
I go, that guy's training.
Hey, he's working.
He's doing something.
He's working. That's
he
right.
is doing something,
Yeah.
and I can respect that he's at least doing something.
Yeah, he's trying. That's
You
right.
know, whether his technique is good or not, that may depend on his teacher, and my opinion may be different from somebody else's opinion. But what I do respect is that they're training.
That's right.
You know, so who am I to go in here and be like, oh, your roundhouse kick is not right. You're
Yeah.
not pivoting your foot. And that, I mean,
People feel that way about gyms too. It's like, oh, your form's off. You're not lifting the right way. It's
And
like,
we all start somewhere.
Exactly,
We
that's
all
right.
start at the bottom, and
That's
as long
right.
as we're continuously growing and improving,
that's right.
yeah,
People should put respect first. You know, the
Yeah.
person's working.
that
Like they're
martial
working to better themselves.
mentality,
That's right. That's
you know?
right.
don't criticize
Yeah.
the people who are doing it.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
They're
right.
doing it. If you have time to criticize me for doing it, you're probably not
You
doing
need to
it.
take a look inside first.
Yeah,
Right?
and going
Yeah.
back to your story, you know, that kid, you know, he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. Fighting's great, but look what happened. He
It's
gets
like,
in
show me.
there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
He
yeah,
gets
put
in
your money where your mouth
That's
is.
right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have should have turned the heat up a little bit. I don't know. I felt like I didn't really. I've met him before. You know what I mean? And it's like I just wanted to spar with him, just like show me what you got, kind of thing. And then I think he felt weird because he never sparred, so he didn't know how light or how hard to take it. So I threw a few punches at him just to say it's okay to hit me.
Yeah.
You know. But maybe I should have turned the heat up a little more after he said what he said.
Well, I'll give you
know.
some advice. So sometimes, like, because I'll do this when I'm at Winthrop, you know, we'll be sparring with white belts. And so, like, the white belts, I like sparring with the white belts because they are, don't take this the wrong way, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
because they don't have the control.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes they're swinging for the fences.
Yep.
Sometimes they're trying to kick your kneecaps.
Yep, that's right.
Because they
You
don't
gotta
know.
protect yourself,
So you
yeah.
better protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so this sounds crazy, but sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna spar with the white belts because they're more akin to what you're gonna get in the street.
Yeah. Right. Unexpected.
Unexpected, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. And so when you have skill, you can teach those people this is why this is wrong, but you do it through your sparring.
Right.
And
You
so
show 'em.
you show them
Yeah.
this is why you need to do this. And so I've had students come in class, just like you just said, and go, oh, I just want to spar, I want to spar. Quick story, and then we'll go to commercial break. Had a student come in class, amazing athlete, amazing martial artist, because he had already had some previous martial arts experience, but I don't think he had ever been formally trained. And he came in and he just wanted to spar off the rip. And I kind of wanted to give him some more techniques under his belt before we started doing more sparring. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to listen to me. So I said, okay, look, I'll make a deal with you. If you beat me in sparring, and it wasn't a continuous match, we just kind of did some point sparring because I didn't know what his skill level was. So I said, okay, let's just do some point sparring. I said, look, if you beat me in sparring, I'll let you spar. Because guess what? You can beat me.
Yeah.
Hey.
Do it.
So I made a big to-do about it. I'll never forget, Master Lewis was still alive at this time. So I got Master Lewis to come out there, and I said, Master Lewis, would you referee this match? And I explained who he was, and it was like, we did it in front of all the classmates and stuff. Okay. So we started out. I let him get a shot off of me. Okay. And then after that, I totally just destroyed him. Okay. But I did that on purpose, not to make a fool of him, but to kind of show, look,
You're good. You're not that good.
You're not that good.
Right.
And I have things that I can teach you.
Right.
And I have things that can make you better. If you listen to me, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm not
That's right.
trying to embarrass you. I'm trying to guide you in a way. And I guarantee that gentleman, when he would go compete, when he would spar in class, rarely, and I truly mean this, rarely did he ever lose because he finally listened.
Right.
And he got really good.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there that don't want to listen to your teachers, listen to your parents, listen, the elders, the older people, the more, your Sifu, your sensei, your gurus, your professors, all those people have been training for a long time and they have skills and wisdom to give you guys. So listen to them because they can make you better and they can prepare you for those competitions and those street fights.
Yeah.
But guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break because we got bills to pay. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome to our commercial break, and we want to plug ourselves, the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina. We are located at 2354B/A on Ebenezer Road in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And as you can see, these are some of our students here, and they can tell you about their experiences here at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. I'm going to ask Bobby to go first, and then Joe.
It's a great place. It's very like a brotherhood, like a good family, some good friends. Like everybody always says, you need to find your tribe, and you guys individually are all great people, but together y'all are just a great community of just encouraging people to be better and just expand on personal growth. You know?
Oh, thank you. Joe?
So I've told you this before, and I'll say it again for the audience to hear. There's a reason. I've only been here 2 years, but there's a reason I've been here 2 years. If I came here and I didn't like the environment and the people, I wouldn't have made it a month or two. I would have checked you out and seen what you're about, and But I felt like after I started training with you guys, as you just said, it is a very family-oriented, school. So it's about martial arts. It's about bettering yourself and getting better together.
As martial artists, having a good family, a good martial family is really important for your growth. So guys, again, we want to invite you to our school in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina. Come visit. We have people come by here all the time. We love to have you. Come to the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. You can find us online at www.kungfuforever.com. And hey, come by, hang out, come train.
Yeah, please.
And welcome back to Martial Mentality. Bobby, I want you to tell your story
God.
about your confrontation with the crackhead.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So I work in a retail store over off Woodlawn in Charlotte, and it is not the best area in the world. So there's a lot of construction going on behind us, so they're pushing a lot of the homeless and the crackheads and stuff up through where our shopping center is. And I work during the day, and most of the time when people try to steal, it's the little pocket stuff. But we do have some individuals, crackheads and junkies, that come in and they're basically just grabbing so they can go out there and sell it on the street. It is nothing they need to survive. It's not food. It's not diapers. It's just something that I'm going to sell so I can get drugs. And I had this lady come in. I knew her immediately because I've seen her around the neighborhood. And she went straight to the wigs. She gets 2 wigs. And I get around the counter and I'm like, I can take those for you. And she's like, get out of my way. And I'm like, no. I was like, give me my stuff. And she's like, just let me go. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Give me my stuff. She gives me one of the wigs and I kind of toss it to the side so she can't get it. And I'm like, all right, give me the other one. And she kind of shoves it up her shirt so that I can't get it and she can try to get past me. And I'm like, give me my stuff. And she kind of, she's looking around what she can do for a weapon, or I don't know if she was maybe wanting to try to throw something at me, create a distraction, something. But she goes over to the fire extinguisher. She can't get that off the wall. She comes back. She's still looking around and I'm like, give me my stuff and I will let you leave. Well, she rears back and takes this Hail Mary type of punch at me, and it was almost like slow motion because my first thought is literally, oh, that's bad form.
Wow.
I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it was also in that minute that I realized I can't hurt you because if I unleash on you,
You will hurt her.
I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Yes. And she
Oh,
was
man.
very tall, lanky, very skinny. I knew that I could easily muscle her, and I knew that I could easily hurt her. And she starts swinging a couple more times, and I kind of just block them and bat them away. And finally, I just kind of grab her wrist and shove it up against her body, and then reach up under her shirt, grab the box out, and then move out of the way. My favorite part, though, of the whole thing is when she's swinging at me and she's like, just let me leave. I'm out here fighting demons. And I'm like, yeah, me. I'm the demon you're fighting today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You'd rather go fight them demons than you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's why apparently I'm a celebrity on the streets. They talk about me.
Start calling you the Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Okay, Tanjiro.
Right. But yeah, I mean, she just... a lot of the people in that neighborhood really do these things specifically out of fear. They think that if you think they're going to hurt you, then they can get out the door with anything. And I've noticed, even just of my own experience, that when you step up to them, they don't come around when I'm at work. They don't bother me when I'm at work. They see me and they're like, that big girl's mean. We don't mess with her.
And why do you think that? Is that because it's your mentality?
Yeah, a lot of those people work on intimidation. I've even had I've fought guys that come in there and try to steal. And I mean, I even had one of them. He had one of those clear drawstring bags you take to concerts and stuff. And he had put a product in it. I was like, give me back. And he's like, I got a gun in here. I know he does not have a gun in there. I can literally see through the bag. I'm like, no, you don't. They work off intimidation. If they think they can scare you, then you're going to be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Just go. And when people will learn, when they can get over on you, what else can I get from you?
They want the easy score. They don't want, and they know you're a problem for them. So,
yep. And that's why they don't come in, because they know I'm not going to put up with it.
That's a good thing. In the military, they say, don't be an easy target.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they mean. If you're standing guard, don't stand there twiddling your thumbs or playing on your phone. You're an easy target then.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're standing there, you're alert, you're standing tall, they're like, okay, that guy's paying attention.
Right.
You're paying attention. That's not an easy score for them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and anytime someone comes in there that I even have a small inkling about, you can always tell because, like you said, with the eyes,
Yep.
you can watch people. And when you watch people watching you, that's a dead giveaway. And
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
just being attentive. Hey, can I help you? Can you help find anything? Hey, I can hold that for you. You don't have to carry all that around. We'll just sit down over here. Being attentive. My boss always says a good determinant or whatever of thievery is good customer service. If you're just on that person, hey, what can I help you? I see you.
Yeah.
They know that you're watching, so they're not going to try anything.
Yeah.
That's an
Awareness.
actual
Yeah.
good way to think about that. Being a good employee,
Yeah.
good customer service representative is a great way for you to say, look, I'm paying attention to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Paying
Hey, you're
attention.
not doing it in a mean or, awful way. You're just doing your job, but you're also paying attention.
Oh yeah. I mean,
That's right.
there's even times where, because I'm not up on everybody, because some people, because of the type of store it is, some people don't want to be bothered and they just want to get their stuff and go. But if I have a feeling and I'm not real sure and they're just kind of pushing me off, I'm like, okay, I'll step back, but I'm standing right by that door and I'm watching.
So let me ask you this. How did your martial arts training, because I know that happened, that situation you're talking about happened after you had come to the school. How did
Yes.
that help you in that situation?
A lot of it mentally, because I knew what to look for. I knew that if I kept calm and collected and showed that, like, that confidence, like, you're not scaring me, I know what to do here in this situation. I didn't like, get scared or frazzled, or shake or, I had more confidence. And I think just confidence alone is almost like a deterrent, because they're like, I don't trust that one, and they can pick up on that. But also, again, I saw at one point she kept looking around her body, like she was looking for a weapon or a way to defend herself. So I could tell that she had been somebody who had to defend herself on the street before. And so, of course, I'm watching her hands, because I don't know that she might not have a weapon in behind her jacket or whatever. So just being able to watch her feet, watch her hands, kind of figure out what she was going to do before she did it. And then, of course, the self-defense stuff, being able to block, or what'd you call it? A joint lock, where you grab them and you just kind of, or you press up
Trap.
into
Trap.
Thank you.
And being
Trap.
connected, like if you had her hand, you can tell if she's about
Yeah.
to wind up.
You created a
Absolutely.
bridge.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then just pushing that up against her body to where she couldn't really do anything. And I didn't hurt her. I let her walk out the store.
That's good martial arts too.
Yeah.
You could
It
have.
is.
You
Yeah.
could have.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yep.
I
You didn't
knew,
have to.
Yeah. And I knew when I saw her swing at me, I was going to hurt her if I unleashed. If she really tried me, I was
Yep.
going to hurt her. And, this is something you talked about earlier, being new. I still haven't learned to control my power. And that's one reason I like fighting you, or sparring with you, or sparring with Trevor, or some of the older students, because y'all know your power. Y'all know how to control it. With me, I don't really know that yet. So if I would have unleashed on her, I may have really hurt her. And because she was less than half my size, she was very skinny, very
Yeah.
tall. And I'm glad I didn't have to go that far, but I don't think if I hadn't had the training that I have, who knows what had happened,
It's funny you said when she threw the punch, you immediately could tell.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've had this conversation. For me, I always talk about kicks.
Yeah.
You can tell, and I use, one of our students that come here every now and then as an example sometimes, but like, you can tell he's a good kicker.
Yeah.
As soon as he lifts that knee up and he throws it out, it's sharp, it's precise, his movement, he's got mobility. It's like, okay, I need to respect this kick.
Yeah.
And then you had a situation where you were sparring and a guy threw a kick at you where it was sloppy, and you immediately could tell, like, he's not a good kicker.
No, yeah,
And
you can
countered it.
tell.
And
Yeah.
You can tell.
You
You
can
can
tell.
immediately tell. Same with you and your real situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As soon as she tried that, like
Like,
over the
yeah,
head
if
Hail
you're gonna do
Mary,
that, yeah,
I was like, oh,
bad move.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, bad move.
Here, let me show you how to throw that punch properly.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of it because I've been doing it for so long or doing this job. I've been there for 10 years, and dealing with these people on and off for a long amount of time. And I think it gets to a point where when they leave, I almost want to be like, hey, if you need help, I go to a school, you can come learn how to fight. I'm always bad about do better. Like you can tell that if I was really to unleash on someone, I would hurt them. But being able to have that like hesitation of holding back and
Yeah.
knowing when to
When
fight,
to hold back or not.
and when not.
Had
to.
she grabbed the knife,
Oh yeah.
There's difference, right?
That's a
You're right.
Game on.
game changer.
Yeah,
Yep.
Right.
game
She
on.
was unable to hurt you.
Yeah.
You handled it, I think, the way you should have. Yeah.
Because if she would have actually got that fire extinguisher off the wall, it's a whole nother fight at that point.
Right.
Because if she would have hit me with that shit would have hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's
That's
the thing: you probably wouldn't have even let her get to it because
Right.
you'd be like, "Oh, you're really trying to hurt me." Okay,
Well, and
Right.
I know that she couldn't get it off the wall the way it's buckled into the wall.
Right.
But like, had she, so we have right at the register, we have this little letter opener that we use to open up boxes and stuff like that. Had she grabbed something like that, oh, it would have been a whole different fight. A whole different
You
fight.
talked about that bridge too, and that is actually like people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I am pretty confident, and we learned this too, even in the military. But like when you see police escorting somebody and they have a hand on the shoulder, that's why they can feel what they're doing. You know, if they're going to turn around and try to
That's
swing
right,
on them, or,
yeah.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you can feel that.
yeah,
If you're not connected, they can just swing.
right,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right.
Right,
And it's something so simple,
but effective.
but a lot of people don't know that.
yeah.
You know, because what are we normally taught, especially like a lot of, styles like karate and kung fu and stuff like that. Normally the way it's taught, we're striking, so we're not touching each other. We want to stay away.
Right. Keep our distance. Yeah.
Well, let's say for real life self-protection purposes, I actually want to be close enough to you to make contact because now I have an idea of what's going on. I can
Absolutely.
control you better.
Yep.
yeah.
I always make my, my example about opening a peanut butter jar. You want to open it here or out here?
All right.
You want to keep it close because this is where you got the power. This is
right.
where, okay, well, where do I want to keep you? I want to keep you out here or here. Well, sometimes I may want to keep you out here because maybe I want to escape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm afraid that you're being very violent right now and maybe I need some distance because I need time to
Right.
think.
They're thrashing or throwing their
Right,
hand or
maybe
whatever.
I
think-
need space.
I think that was my first thought was if she does find a weapon, because there was a lot of stuff she could have picked up and used, but she wasn't really in that headspace of
Yep. She's
what-
probably freaking out.
anything could be a weapon. Yeah. And my first thought was, okay, if she does pick up something that could be used as a weapon, I need to get her to the ground and immobile.
Yeah.
Because if she's, when you back an animal in a corner, they're going to start thrashing. They're going to go
Yep.
crazy.
Right.
And the easiest thing for me, use my body weight, press up against her, get with a weapon, and immobilize her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. You were calm.
Yeah.
She's over there freaking out, not knowing what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that probably helped you de-escalate the situation faster because you weren't yelling and screaming and stuff
yeah.
like that. You probably were talking to her. It sounds to me the way you've described the situation previously: authoritative, calm,
Oh, yeah.
commanding,
Right.
and it's like, she's freaking out because it's like, one, I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
That's strange because I expect her to be mad and acting crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, you're not telling her like I'm gonna hurt you. You're telling her all I want is my stuff back.
Yeah, and you can walk
get
out
of
the door.
here. Right.
I give you a choice.
Yeah.
You can give me my stuff and I'll let you walk away,
Right.
or we can do this the hard way. You can try to get past me.
Yeah.
I had another situation where there were two girls, and one of them was a little bigger than me. One of them was, smaller, like just average size, but they had arms full of product. And I, as soon as I realized what they were doing, I'm standing in front of the door. They together could have easily overtaken me, easily. But because I was so calm and was like, you ain't getting out of here. You ain't getting out of here. They ended up throwing the stuff down, and they, hit some of the lingerie and stuff just to make a mess and cause a scene. But they ended up walking out, cussing me out, but they walked out and they could have easily hurt me.
Right. That's another good thought-provoking question for you.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you're good at analyzing these situations now.
Yeah.
Not to put size or gender on it or whatever,
Yeah.
but like, say it's 3 people or something,
Yeah.
and they stole something. That may be the time where you shouldn't interject.
Yeah.
Like, you can politely say, give the stuff back, but if
Yeah.
it starts to escalate, you may want to back off and let them walk out with the stuff.
Yeah, and I think in that situation with the 2 girls, because one of them was a little bigger than me and the other one was smaller than me, had they teamed up together, they could have got away. They
It's
could have
like
hurt me.
you're doing the
Yeah.
right thing because you don't want them to steal, but at the same time,
Yeah.
they're not putting anybody at. They're stealing. They're not like threatening lives over
Exactly.
here. So
Yeah.
don't be. You don't got to be the hero.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a quote out there about
Right.
don't be the hero, but like
Yeah, and
if they were threatening somebody's life or something, you make the call like you need to jump in. Like
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're stealing something, but it's a threat to you or it could hurt you. It's like take it.
I think I learned that, because I've seen some situations where there may be something going on where possibly I can intervene, and then I have to snap back to reality and go, do I really need to intervene? Because sometimes as martial arts we have this hero complex.
Right. You want to jump in, be the hero, and you may not even know what the altercation's about.
Exactly.
My point on this was kind of like the whole thought behind, okay, somebody pulls a gun on you and says, give him the wallet. What do?
You give him the wallet.
Give him the
Yeah.
wallet.
Give him the wallet.
know
Look,
what I mean?
I don't have time to try to be a hero.
No, like,
Yeah.
right.
I don't get an extra life.
That's right.
This is not Mario.
right.
This
Yeah.
is not a game,
Yep.
But I'm glad you.
That's the mentality behind all of it. Like, knowing those situations and what to do with them, because every situation is different.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's going back earlier to our difference between competition and real life. Competition, you'll get another chance.
Yeah.
Real life, you may not get another
might
chance.
not.
You may only
Might
get
not.
one shot,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah.
In
So
competition, you get 3 rounds.
right,
Yeah.
and if you lose, guess what? You can easily pay
Better
for
luck
another
next year. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find another competition. You can find one next weekend if you want
Right.
to.
Yep.
Right.
This situation, you may not get another chance.
Right.
And there have definitely been times where I pushed it to where I probably should have stepped back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's
Oh,
another
I've
thing.
done that plenty of times myself. Yeah.
I think that's another thing we definitely struggle with is when you start to learn these skills and you know what you're capable of, it's hard to keep your ego in check and really address the situation of, okay, can I do this without hurting myself or anyone? Or if I step in, is this going to get bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's hard to make sure you keep your ego in check and be like, you know what? This is when I need to just step back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Definitely. Joe?
Right. You can't let the ego get in the way of like that self-preservation too thing. I always say, now I've got kids, like I'm not out here trying to get punched in the face where I used to be kind of a troublemaker.
Yeah.
I used to go looking for trouble.
And this segues because I was going to ask you, Joe, what about you? What altercations have you dealt with maybe before or after or during your martial arts, career that you've dealt with?
It's funny you say that. Since I've started martial arts, none.
No, that's good.
Which is
Yeah,
great. I don't
yeah.
want any altercations. Like, it's handled at a good level, not to escalate. But like, again, I did kind of used to go looking for trouble, and usually when I did, it'd find me. I got arrested once when I was 13 for assault and battery. I don't know if I told you that one.
No, I didn't know that.
There was I used to skateboard a lot and still do, And so we were hanging out in town, and some kids from the next town over, some much older kids, mind you, came and was trying to bully us and stuff. The first thing they did was called somebody over to their truck, and as soon as he got there, he blew an air horn in his face.
Oh,
Yeah, and like we didn't really pay him too much mind. We just kind of kept doing our thing, and they kept on and on and on and egging us on. And at one point, then they all got out of the vehicle, and we were probably ranges 13 to 15 in the group I was with. This SUV full of kids from the next town over were probably like 17.
oh
18.
yeah.
And they made one of the guys cry. Like they chased him off, and that was the point where I was like stop. Like I got in the main instigator's face, and I was just trying to like do my thing, skateboard. So but we ended up getting into a scrap. It wasn't much of a scrap, mind you, but much bigger kid. I think I pushed him, and then he pushed me to the ground, punched me, and then pushed me to the ground. Then I stood back up really quick, and then I think I grabbed my skateboard. But then that's like when the cop pulled in.
Oh.
So that was all there really was to it. I think I don't think I was in the wrong there because he wasn't letting up. You know what I mean? Again, it was a dumb situation. We were young, but we both got arrested for that.
Mm-hmm.
And he got arrested at that age, so he got in much more trouble than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he was an instigator, but, that was well before. I was always interested in martial arts, but I think what I learned there is, like, it worked out because I took action. I had times later in life where I got hit in the back of the head and I froze. And I got lucky because they stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have to.
Right. They could have severely hurt you.
They could have severely hurt me. So I had that, when people talk about freezing, it happened to me one time, and I can see why. It wasn't necessarily fear. It was just like I didn't know what to do.
Shock. Like,
what
what
It
just
didn't
happened?
knock me out, but it was like then I just kind of looked at him like, and that was their moment. Like they could have screwed me over. They could have beat me up.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people it's that bullying tactic.
yeah.
If I'm bigger, if I'm louder, if I'm meaner, you're going to back down. And
Right.
most people, once that the other person steps up and they're like, I'm actually not going to back down.
Right.
Then it's kind of like, oh crap. Well, what do I do now?
Exactly.
Yep. I got one more. I was in the military, and there's a watch that they call Shore Patrol,
Uh-huh.
and I was in another country, but like all you're doing is just making sure sailors don't do nothing stupid. 'Cause
Really?
they're out drinking and partying, so you're out there just presence, just to make sure they don't go over the top.
Keeping the
And
peace.
sometimes it does go over the top
Mm-hmm.
because they act a fool. And there was a group of like 20 guys out in the street fighting. Like, I don't think nobody got hurt bad. No weapons got involved, but it was more of a trash talking thing, an ego thing. But I was the first one that had to get in the middle of that.
Oh, my
and, like, stop
gosh.
it. But I was wearing a uniform, and they were in the Navy, so they know, like, crap, we're about to get in trouble. So that helps. But still, you don't know when a punch
Right.
could
So I'm
come
about
out
to
of
say,
nowhere. so-
anything could have popped off.
yeah, so I definitely pushed a few people. Had to I didn't get anything thrown at me, but like I got shoved around a little bit before we got it broke up. I was the first one there because like there was a group of us, but I kind of like ran because I seen it happening, and then they followed. So you just got to be aware.
I think that's something I definitely struggle with is not pushing those people.
Right.
Because even with my job, I tell people all the time when I hire new people, don't fight these people.
Had I
Don't
not
let
been
them go.
on watch and in
Yeah.
uniform, there's no way I would have jumped in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was my job to. That's why I
Right.
did. But
Yeah.
like that's a situation where if I'm just walking by,
You're not getting involved
no,
in that.
Why
Nope.
would I?
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's why I tell a lot of people is don't fight them. Let them go. Do not put yourself in harm's way.
Right.
I think my issue comes with one. I've worked for this company for so long. I take it personal. My boss is one of the greatest men I know, and he's taught me a lot, and not just the business, but in life.
Yeah.
And he owns part of the store I work in, so that I take that personally.
There's
It's like-
loyalty.
It is, and it's like family, and I have to get better at refraining with those people too because of that, because it makes me angry that you're going to steal from somebody who this is his livelihood. This is
Right.
where his
Yeah.
money's at.
Sturdy.
This man has done a lot for me
Right.
in my life.
Right.
You ain't going to do this shit to him. And I think too, a lot of that comes from my past and being in an abusive situation where, somebody I love was attacking me, and I used to shell up, and I used to just, ball up, and I used to just take it. And then I
Right.
got to a point where I was done taking it and I was pushing back. And a lot of that pushback is what led me to realize I'm becoming that bully now. I'm now becoming the monster that I hate
Yeah.
and I don't want to be with. And it gave me that confidence to leave. But now I have to make sure that I keep that confidence and that ego in check,
Stay humble.
so I'm not that monster.
Humble hearts, fearless fists.
That's
Yeah.
right. Stay humble.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't-
The fearless fist part, but
You got to be
Humble heart.
humble.
humble heart. Yeah.
And that's the struggle, because once you know that you're capable of crossing that
You're
line,
dangerous.
you have to work even harder not to.
Well, here's what happens to a lot of people. That when they practice martial arts, and this is going on in the community more so now. Everybody wants combat. Kind of like the gentleman you said, well, I didn't want to do all this. I just want to fight. Well, here's the thing, this is another thing that I thought about. You got to have character before combat.
Yeah.
Because
That's right.
if you have some kind of character about yourself, that doesn't mean that you're not dangerous. It doesn't mean that you can't F somebody up.
That's right.
What that means is hopefully you're going to let some of your moral values, some of that situational awareness, some of that decision making come through and keep that ego in check.
Yeah.
Before you do something crazy or dumb or put yourself in a situation where you are getting arrested as an older individual and now you're facing charges or you've hurt somebody severely or you're getting sued or something like that.
That's a good point. It's like your situation where you could have hurt that lady, but you didn't. And on one of our previous podcasts, that's what one of the guests were talking about. Like sometimes those people may make the better fighters in the ring because they don't have remorse. They're mean.
And
They're nasty.
Ruthless.
They will. They want to hurt you.
Yes.
And one thing I've learned that in my life is that anything and everything you have can be taken from you at any moment except your integrity. No one can take that from you.
Yeah.
And if you come with integrity, no matter what someone says or does, your integrity will speak for itself.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, real quick, I want to chime in on this because I got a few stories, but one particular story Bobby was involved in here at the school where we had a self-protection scenario. I think this was on your break while you were on break for a while.
Yeah.
So, we're here at the school. It was fall.
It was a late night. Yeah, it was either a Monday or Wednesday night.
It was a fall day, and it's in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina. It is so nice during this time of year, and so we're outside enjoying the day. Yeah. And where the school is, we're in a relatively safe area. But what's happening in our area is we're getting more transient people. We're getting more homeless, unfortunately. We are getting more people to walk around this area. And so while Rock Hill is not a small community, it's not a big community. So it's big enough that you don't know everybody, but it's small enough that you're probably going to see somebody you know.
Yeah.
And so especially now where the school is located, we're starting to see more people kind of walk around here. So we have to be a little bit more aware. Either way, so we're outside, and this gentleman, we kind of saw him across the street. He walks past us while we're working out outside in the parking lot. Now, nobody bothered him. Nobody's messing with him. Nobody's saying anything. We all just ignored him. Yeah, everybody's ignoring him, letting him go about his business. And nobody thought of him as a threat because he wasn't doing anything to anybody.
Yeah, he was just walking through, just kind of running his mouth. You could tell he was upset about something, but he was, how when you get mad, you just talk to yourself. He was just kind of yammering to himself as he was walking
body
in and
language and demeanor and eyes, face.
Yeah.
But he didn't mess with anybody, so we didn't we left him alone.
We just kind of let him go.
Not a threat, right? Because he's not bothering him. Yeah. So he walked past. Well, he walks past again. This time he's getting a little closer. He's still yammering and stuff like that.
You could definitely tell he was on something, whether it was alcohol or something.
Right.
However, still not a threat yet. He hadn't done anything to anybody.
Right. Hadn't done nothing technically wrong, but shady.
Yeah. Like
getting shady.
Let's keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he came back through. What's he doing? That's kind of strange,
Say like military, that'd be like, okay, because they have levels to it. They'll conditions, right? And they'll go to the next condition where they like ramp up security.
Yeah, I think
that kind of thing.
How
it's like y'all. It's like at first, no worries. Then it's like, okay, now we're gonna now we're kind of watching.
Now we're paying attention.
Yeah, because we did tend to like tighten up because we were all kind of spread out around the parking lot.
Yep.
But I think by the second pass through, we all kind of started.
We kind of naturally did it. Like,
right?
It was kind of naturally like,
it's crazy.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
But still not a threat.
Right.
Well, the third time is when he started to become an issue. So this time he came back through, and I don't know if he engaged anybody because I was kind of spread out. I'm going to let Bobby kind of go from her point of view because I think she engaged with him first in some way or he talked to her, that group first. Yeah. And then I can tell you from my point of view because I kind of came from a different angle.
You were kind of on the left side of the parking lot? We were on the right.
Right.
And we were just working on forms and stuff, and he was kind of tossing rocks back and forth, but not at anyone. He was just kind of tossing rocks, and I can't remember who it was had said, all right, I think it might have been you, was like, all right, let's go in, let's get together and go in, and we all started kind of come to the door, and I left my water bottle over there. I was just going to leave it because I was going to wait till he walked through and then go back and get it later because it was a water bottle, wasn't a big deal.
Smart.
Well, he starts walking to my water bottle, and one of the girls that were here at the time, her car was parked right beside it, and he starts walking to the water bottle and picks my water bottle up like he's going to either throw it at somebody or throw it at her car or something. And that's when I saw it, was like, oh, okay, give me my water bottle. And as soon as I started to engage with that, he tosses the water bottle at me, and next thing I know, these guys are like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was, I think he started trying to pick up, the big cement things where you,
Center block.
where your car pulls up
The
to.
concrete
okay.
barriers.
Yeah, that's it. The
gotcha.
concrete barriers.
Jeez.
Well,
Yeah.
well, one of them was broken.
Yeah, he escalated quickly.
Right.
Yeah, one of them
He's
was
looking for trouble.
Yeah, and one of them was broken, and he picks up a piece that's probably about the size of a brick, maybe a little fatter than a brick. He's about to throw it, and that's when Sifu comes in. They get the brick out of his hand, and he's, trying to yell and cuss and argue, and that's when he basically just subdued him, got him down on the ground. All the guys kind of surrounded him to make sure, because there was, at that point, I don't know if it was like a girlfriend or a family member or somebody.
I think it was a sister.
Okay, she had started walking up.
Yeah.
And they were sort of kind of flanking him to make sure that she wasn't going to jump in or she wasn't going to attack or anything like that. I don't know if she was on the phone with somebody, but I think it was Brian ended up calling the cops at that point, and basically Sifu had him on the ground, had him restrained, and he was trying to fight him. He really was, but he kept calm, he kept cool, and he just basically was like, "You need to stop. You need to calm down."
Again, you could have hurt him.
Oh yeah.
Well,
You just needed to subdue him.
and so let me tell you from my point of view. So when he engaged Bobby, I went inside, and so I didn't know some of this was happening because I was trying to get everybody inside because we saw that he was just becoming a problem. So we're like, let's just go.
Right.
Okay.
We had a lot of people that class.
We
day.
did. We had a big group of people.
Right.
And he was engaging people. He started to now like engage and started, kind of talking trash and kind of started being threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just kind of like, hey, everybody, let's round up, like she said.
Yeah.
So we were getting inside, and we had a lot of new students at the time because I remember you were new, and there was Ann, and there was Hannah and Josh and other people. And so they weren't used to that.
Right.
And so I was, but we had a lot of, more of our advanced students, Mr. Ed and Brian and myself and Trevor was there.
I think Mitch was there.
No, Mitch wasn't there that day.
Okay.
No, he was he was wanting to be there. He's like, man, I should have been there,
That's right.
but he wasn't there. But either way, and so when he started being threatening, we were trying to get everybody inside, and I found out that he was throwing rocks and things of that nature. And you're right, he had picked up a concrete barrier.
Yeah.
So where the cars are parked, it was Mr. Ed, Brian, Trevor. They were all kind of there, and they were trying to talk to him. Mr. Ed's trying to talk him down, like, "Hey, man, just stop." So he had picked up the concrete barrier. Okay, already then, in hindsight, we should have never let him get to that in the first place because he easily could have thrown that, hurt somebody. He had already weaponized himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
that was prior to or after when he picked up my water bottle and threw it when I went back for it.
Yeah.
Huh.
After that, after he had did that, and then he went over to the other side of the parking lot, picked up the concrete barrier, and he was maybe about 150, 160 pounds, somewhere in there, maybe about 5'7", 5'8", 5'9" But I just remember coming out the side door and seeing him lift the concrete barrier, and Mr. Ed and everybody's trying to talk to him. Now, they were far enough away. If he had thrown it, they could have gotten out of the way. But if he had thrown it, he would have hit a vehicle and busted something.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was about halfway across the parking lot at that point coming towards the school.
Right.
And like I can't remember who was all parked out front or not, but literally within maybe 6 to 10 feet of the cars.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
Close enough that we need to do something. So
Yeah.
I'll never forget, he brought it up and he brought it down, and I had an angle on, probably had a 45-degree angle. And as soon as he brought him down, I booked it. Because I say, you know what? You're not bringing that up again. Because one, if you did it once, you're gonna throw it. You know, and you're building up the courage to do it.
Right.
So you haven't
He'd
done
already
it yet.
been escalating and escalating.
And he kept escalating, and the more we tried to get away from him, the more he wanted to engage.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you're not going away. We're gonna have to restrain you. So as soon as he brought it down, I remember I hit the brick. I didn't get him to drop it, but I got him to. It was like enough of a stun to what, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then I wrapped my arm around his neck, and I just did a takedown. I got behind his leg, I took him down.
Yeah.
Then I mounted on top. Made sure I secured his hands, and eventually, I was trying to talk to him, and he was trying to struggle and fight, and I did have the guys around me, and that's why I was saying earlier why it was super important if I was by myself, like being on that ground, it was a vulnerable situation. Thank God I had somebody behind me.
You're controlling him, but if you're busy controlling him, you're not controlling
what's going on around me, right? Exactly.
Yeah, because that girl walked up shortly after y'all had subdued him and got him on the ground, and then I think right before the cops got here, even another girl had came up.
Yeah, somebody else came.
It's not just like your body too. Like you gotta watch that person.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to be aware of what's going on.
Well, I also remember it was really uncomfortable being on that concrete because that concrete hurt.
Yeah.
That did not feel good, and because he was struggling so much, I had to increase my force, but I had to increase my force so I wasn't hurting him. So I did take my forearm and put it against his jaw and face, turned his head, and I felt myself starting to get angry.
Right.
Because I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
We had a good practice, but now this guy comes up, he's threatening my family. My martial arts family is threatening my schools, threatening my business. He could have hurt somebody, and now we got to deal with the police.
Yeah.
So we had to wait there on the police. They got here relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And so the good thing was when they came, because of how we handled the situation, one, they said, wow, this guy's really dumb. Why would you come to a martial arts school and start
I was
something?
thinking.
Yeah.
Really dumb. But then they also were kind of praising us at the fact that we didn't hurt him because we really could have hurt him.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't do it.
Yeah.
And in fact, he maybe had a few scratches from the concrete wiggling around, but otherwise than that, police came here, took him to jail.
Hopefully he understands that could have went way worse for him too.
It could have.
Like
it could have.
some people never learn, but
Yeah. Well, I wonder how much he even remembers because
he's probably bad off on something. Yeah.
Right, he was intoxicated and probably high.
Right.
Yeah, I think
the fact
they
that
said
he
they had
didn't
found
get hurt.
drugs on him.
Yeah, he had drugs, I think.
Yeah. The fact that he didn't get hurt worse is because it's martial artist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
necessarily like you talk about this too. Like even people with no training whatsoever, if there's like 3 or 4 guys,
man,
his
that's
odds
dumb.
are pretty low. Yeah, that's
low.
dumb. That's not
That was
smart.
really dumb.
Right.
And those guys and some of our students carry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the last thing you want is somebody, I feel threatened, pow pow.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that it ended up that way. But that was violence, and that was a situation that Bobby can tell you. We didn't expect that. We were hanging out. That we had a great class that day.
Right.
And next thing you know, boom.
Right.
We're subduing somebody.
That's another good lesson for the audience. Don't ever think it can't happen to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything.
Or where.
Or where, yeah.
Yeah, because we literally, tried to ignore him, tried to walk away. And I almost wonder that if some of us not giving him that attention made him escalate because he just kept going harder when we were finally like, all right, let's just go in. Let's go in. We'll end class. It's late,
Right.
And that's when it's like you said, it was like he was getting up the courage.
Yeah.
Like
he was definitely like
pressing
looking
the
for
button.
trouble.
Yeah, he needed, because you could tell the more we ignored him, I'm going to get
The
more.
more he would push.
I'm going to push
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I'm going to push more. And it was kind of like, dude, what are you doing? Like, nobody's bothering you.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody is bothering. Nobody's
leave
trying
it
to
alone.
talk to you. Just leave it alone. But no, that didn't happen. So, I felt like a situation like that, wrapping back around to the competition versus street fighting, and granted, we're still on topic, but it's interesting how hearing all these stories, our martial arts prepared us to deal with some of these situations and variables, and of course, there's things that we always can do better. And thank God none of us were severely hurt. However, I think this really showcases the fact that our training gave us a better chance
Yep.
to do the right thing and survive. Notice I use the word survive, not win, especially in a real life scenario, to
Right.
make sure that we could, hey, we're going home to our families. We're not,
right.
we're not busted up. We're not cut,
Hospital.
shot, hospital, whatever. We were able to do what we need to do because of our martial training.
I think it's that martial mentality that you have that separates hurting the other person from, hey, let's just make sure he's safe and we're safe. Even though he's a threat, we're just going to subdue him.
Yep.
Because, if you would have thought, say this was a bar and guys were drinking and he came up, trying to throw shit, average, typical males would be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And first thing they're thinking is knock him out. Whereas you were like, nah, let's get the weapon out,
Yep.
subdue, so he's okay, but also we're okay.
Right.
The military thing behind that is minimum force necessary.
Yeah.
That's any situation.
Right.
If the minimum force necessary is to shoot somebody, it's to shoot them. If the minimum force is to say, hey, chill out, you know what I mean?
And the good thing about it is I didn't have to deal with the law. We didn't have to deal with the law like that because of what we did. So
if you would have used excessive force, somebody got arrested.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
like-
Definitely.
Right.
This guy didn't have any.
Somebody would have stomped him while you had him subdued. or
Oh
something.
my gosh!
That's
Think
wrong.
about that. You think
Right.
about that. We
Right.
we easily could have been charged with assault if we had a gang mentality and said,
Oh,
"Man,
yeah.
we're jumping on this dude."
Right.
Yeah, especially being a martial arts school when you're
Yeah.
trained to fight.
Right, right. Can you imagine that in the papers?
Oh
Yeah.
God!
Can you imagine
arts school attacks.
martial arts schools
Oh,
jumps
been shut
individual,
down.
right?
Oh,
Gang, gang.
jeez.
So, guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This was an excellent topic. Actually,
I love this topic.
We might need to do a part 2 to this
Part
topic
two,
because there's so much
Yeah.
to talk about with this topic.
I feel like it's interesting to a lot of people. You got a lot of people out there saying, "Don't work in a real fight." This is what we're talking about. It does.
Was it Coach
It does.
Beato would be great to talk about that because wasn't he a bouncer for a while?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's had to deal with a lot of people.
He went and trained kung fu because he was getting beat up.
Yeah.
So if that don't tell you like something, you know what I mean?
Well, a lot of people do martial arts because they need that self-protection scenario. But like, especially like you said, talking about Coach Mike was a bouncer and he has so many stories. And I love to hear people who do martial arts that have bounced or done police work or done military work because unfortunately those guys have to use that. That's their job.
Right.
That's what they do.
Right.
And so
it's not just show. You know what
Right.
I mean, like when you wear the uniform, that's like a deterrent in itself. But when crap hits the fan and you really need to do something, it's not just for show. You have to.
Well, a lot of people don't think about it either, but when you're in an abusive situation where there's a family member or a partner, it may not, just because it's not on the street, doesn't mean it's not a street fight because you're still fighting for your life. You're still fighting
right.
for
It's
protection.
It's as real as it gets.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's another quick thing, and then we'll end. But you would think nowadays, yes, the uniform can be a deterrent, but now it's become more of a target. In
Yeah,
some
exactly.
Oh,
respects.
absolutely.
Yep. It creates
So
challenges.
It
yeah.
creates challenge. So now people are testing you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I go out and I'm wearing my martial arts gear, less when I'm wearing my kung fu gear, because this kind of looks more just like workout gear.
Yep.
But when I have on my karate gi, oh my goodness.
Karate.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Show me something.
The past
Right.
2 weeks, there was like a little there was a small group of teens, and the first week they was talking to Nate like, "Oh, kung fu, you know when he moves," and you could tell he was just being smart. He wasn't like generally like interested. He's just he's like, "I can box." And then the next week he came back around, and I was out there talking to one of the kids. You know, the day I think he was sitting in the van, and I was like,
Oh,
"Man,
yeah,
what's up?"
okay, yeah, I
So I went
remember.
out there, and that same teen from the week before came by and was like, kung fu, and it's like I don't remember what I said, but I just say it's a kung fu school. We're training martial arts. He's like, you know when he moves? He's like then I just kind of jokingly I'm working on some moves. But I kept shifting my attention back
Right, like I'm not
like
going
a
to give
fly.
you the attention.
Yeah, I'm not exactly. I'm not even going to
giving
entertain
you the
this.
attention because you want attention right
That's
now.
exactly what he wanted.
So
yeah.
I'm not going to give that to you.
Yeah.
I understand.
All right.
People like to bait you and then blame you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yes.
yeah. Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
guys, once again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I think we need to do a part 2 to this. I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
this is good. And guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Remember, we're on YouTube. You can find us at www.kungfuforever.com. That's the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina. Find us on YouTube at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And once again, like, share, subscribe, comment. If you have anything you want us to talk about, or maybe you found something about what our story is interesting, or you want to share your story, please feel free to. We love to hear what you have to say. And this is Shaolin out, signing off. Peace.